everyone, welcome to the Wedding Honey podcast, the podcast where we chat about weddings with a little bit of sweetness, because we all know weddings can be stressful. We're here to lighten that up. Follow along if you'd like to hear journeys about wedding photography, wedding photographers, and of course, the wedding day. We're also going to be interviewing wedding specialists, and we can't wait for you to follow along. The Wedding Honey podcast is brought to you by Wedding Biz Kit, a photography business course created by Sounds Like Yellow Photography. After 4 years in university, knowing I wanted to start my own wedding photography business, I had no clue how to write a proper invoice or even professionally run my business. I dug deep and curated a brand that is creative just as much as it is professional. Now, 8 years in of running my own successful business, I am proud to say I have the course for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Honey podcast. We are on episode 14, and we thought we'd take a little bit of a personal touch to this episode. I have been convinced from a few people to chat about myself, and I thought, why not? Because I'm kind of boring when I'm just talking about myself. Why not bring someone who just makes me laugh and makes me chat in a really positive way? So I thought, why not bring on my husband, Michael Wiersma. Hello, Michael.
Hey, G.
Welcome to the Wedding Honey podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of
This
course.
is definitely a first.
Yes. I know this is definitely outside of Mike's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I thought, how cool would it be to have my husband, the person that I planned our wedding with,
Yeah.
on here and chat about planning our wedding.
Easy enough.
Yeah, right?
Super simple conversation.
Exactly. Michael is very nervous.
I don't do this very often.
No.
Let's be honest here.
It's so funny. Like, it's just literally in this room right now. We're in our attic, and it's just Mike and I, and his leg is moving uncontrollably.
The microphone adds a whole different level to this conversation. And no, there's not any squirrels in our attic with us.
If I do a lot of those froze moments, it's me thinking that I'm hearing squirrels. So yes, Michael doesn't love being topic of conversation, but that's what I'm here for. We're gonna bounce off of each other. We're gonna talk about planning our wedding.
Jill is the only person in the world who could ever get me to do something like this.
I love you.
I love you too.
So first, I just want to go back to our proposal. So because that's kind of like how it all happened.
Where it started.
Yeah. So can you tell us what you were feeling the night that you proposed to me?
Pure and utter panic.
Fantastic.
In the best way possible, though.
Right.
Just crazy nerves, because you're pulling the trigger on basically the biggest decision of your life.
Yeah.
So leading up to it, even that morning, I didn't technically know that I was gonna do it that day.
That's true.
I was just waiting for that moment to feel right. I had everything in place, ready to go, and as soon as I called my mom saying, "Should I do it today?" and my mom said, "Yep," I decided to pull the trigger.
Okay, hold the phone. I didn't know that you called your mom and decided.
Yeah, I called my mom. I called Zach. I checked with a bunch of people. I'm like, I think I'm going to do this today. I think I'm going to do it.
Oh, guys, we're all learning. I didn't realize that. So I was at a wedding, photographing a wedding, a beautiful wedding, and had no idea. Came home late. It was
like close to 11 o'clock
11 o'clock, even later maybe. And I had called Mike from where we actually were living at the time in Hamilton, and I wanted him to come help me grab my bags from the car. And he's kind of hung up on me, or like he wanted me to come up to the house, obviously, and didn't want to be out there. So I understand what you were doing, but at the time I was like, what? This guy has fallen asleep?
I know. I played it like I was sleeping, and I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't pick up the phone the first time.
Yes.
I was like, oh, she'll just come upstairs
It
instead.
was so wild. I was like, who is this dude? But I walk upstairs and came to find.
Well, what I decided to do was from, I think, probably the first week we started dating, Jill started writing me little notes here and there, just about every little thing, referencing anything that I was doing that day or something nice about me, a little I love you here and there. And I had been secretly keeping those. I had kept every single one since the day we started dating. And I decided long ago, like basically the moment I decided I was going to marry this lovely lady, that I was going to use those as part of the proposal. So I went and bought dozens of dollar store picture frames and managed to stuff all of these notes into different picture frames. And I set them all up, covering our entire apartment, because I think there was something like 40 or 50 notes I think I had. And then that with candles in an unconditioned apartment.
Unair conditioned.
Unair conditioned. Yeah, an unair conditioned apartment. And yeah, basically lured her into the house to find what I had set up.
And him. So I walked through the house and I see these candles and I was like, what is this? My heart started to race as soon as I walked in.
You knew right away?
I didn't know. I just thought, oh, he's just doing something really sweet for me. And then once I came into our living room and he was profusely sweating down on one knee, I just, like, I think I melted inside.
Physically and emotionally.
Yes, yeah. We were so hot.
It had to be 35 degrees inside there.
Minimum.
We were just sweating buckets on top of the
But
nerves.
It was perfect.
But it was really nice.
Yeah, you proposed and we sat and had a glass of champagne.
Yeah.
Which was really sweet.
But it was basically like, let's get out of this room as quick
Yeah, it was
as possible.
so hot. We had opened the windows and
But
we just kind of sat in the moment, which we encourage everyone to do. Like everyone who says when they're getting engaged, just take that moment.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be on Instagram 5 minutes later.
Right.
You can go and take a minute to actually savor that moment a little bit.
Yeah, and we really did. It was really special. I did not know it was coming.
Yes, that was the whole, that was my goal, because I knew Jill's pretty good with this kind of thing. And it was my goal to make sure she had no idea it was coming.
I really didn't. I was floored. I was emotionally, I was like on another level. So, oh, Mikey.
That was nice.
That's nice. So from there, we both actually went on a trip to Iceland a month later. It was a month or two later.
I couldn't even remember exactly when I proposed.
It was in September, October.
Was it?
Yeah, September.
Yeah, so then it would have been about a month later.
So we went to Iceland, and while we were there, we almost had the conversation of, do we elope here? That was discussed.
Yes, very close to happening.
Yeah, and I think it was our parents and just our families that made us think, you know what, maybe this is not something we should do right away.
Yeah, it was and I think the more we've thought about it, the more it's like, you know, it's nice to enjoy that moment, like that wedding, with your friends and family around.
Yes.
And if we did something like in Iceland, which would have been beautiful, we had a lot of it planned out actually already.
Yeah, we did.
It would basically be just our parents and siblings, and probably not even friends, because it would cost so much money
just to get out there.
And it just wasn't. I think we definitely made the right decision.
We did, yes. Yeah. But it was our original first plan was an elopement. Yeah. And then we thought, okay, maybe not right away. And then we started looking into maybe doing an elopement somewhere else, maybe a year later. But it really didn't catch on and didn't feel right for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt more personal.
Yeah. I think a lot of it too, from my side of things, a lot of it was, like Jill said at the beginning of this, I'm not the biggest with being the center of attention. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
No. And
the idea of having 100+ people all staring at you for a full day, basically, was super intimidating. With how quiet it was or it would be in Iceland with just a few family members, I thought that would be more along the lines of what I had in my head of basically how to get out of having 100 people looking at you.
Right. So that was kind of our first kind of issue to tackle, was like, let's get over. I didn't want Mike to feel uncomfortable, of course. And yes, I'd be there, and yes, our wedding party would be there, but I think it was hard for him to think, oh, it's going to be a lot of people looking at me, aka Mike.
Yeah, looking for you for
everything.
Everything.
So we managed to, when while we were planning, we made sure that was a priority. Like, oh, when this is happening, why don't we do this so that it doesn't seem so monumental?
Yeah, that's
when
a good word for
everything
it.
was happening. So Mike and I did end up choosing to have a wedding locally in Hamilton, which was great.
Worked out perfect.
Yep. We did have about 140 people.
Yeah.
So it was scarier for Michael.
We capped it out, basically.
Yeah.
But we also, I think we were really intelligent about how we did it, because we basically had, by the time that actual day came, we had everything was automated and was going to just happen.
Yep.
And there was no, like, running around panicking, trying to figure out everything. It was going to, like, so long as you showed up at your queue for certain times in the day, everything else went smooth.
Yep.
It's perfect.
And we also made the decision to do a first look, and we had photos and everything before the ceremony. So that kind of took pressure off of you, Mike, to kind of have all this attention on you. It was more like, oh, now there's a group of us walking in rather than just you. So I think that if there's anybody out there listening to tell your clients, if there is that, like, really nerve factor playing into it, I do suggest doing the morning get together. Like, we really spent the day together.
Yeah, like when Jill came walking down the aisle, it was still a beautiful, amazing moment, but at the same time too, I'd already spent all morning with her.
Right.
So a lot of those absolute terrifying nerves were already kind of off my shoulders, and I could actually just sit there and kind of savor that moment for what it was, rather than panicking about here we go, like this is it right now kind of thing.
I agree. And some people, like, there are some that will argue the nerves will help in that moment of seeing your bride or groom.
Yeah.
However, it really worked for us.
Yeah. It's a personalities type.
It definitely is.
Thing,
but it's something to think about, definitely recommending to your couples.
Yeah.
For sure. So we chose the Spice Factory.
Yeah.
Which is a venue that I myself hadn't photographed at.
Which was important for
was important for us, I think, well, for me, I guess,
I could care less.
But you and I went one evening, and we really fell in love with it. Yeah,
we wanted just, I don't know, in my head at least, if we weren't going to do it in Iceland, I wanted something like with some character. I didn't want to go to, a golf course a banquet hall kind of thing, and just very cut and dry. I like the idea of going to a place with some character. Like the moment we walked in and walked through the place, it was squeaky floors and like the old brick wall, and the building had a bit of a history to it, and there was, beyond the actual convenience of the venue itself, it had a lot of character and a lot of feeling behind it too. Yeah, which meant a lot to me, at least.
It did, yeah. I knew we couldn't get something new. I knew it had to be an older building for Mike, for sure. So, and I loved that too. I loved that there was so much character in it. Yeah. And we also loved how the Spice Factory really suited our day. So we did kind of like an evening ceremony, but we had it upstairs in one of their rooms, which was a darker room, not as much light, which sounds terrifying and really dark. But it was super beautiful, and there was about 150 million candles.
Yeah, if you get a chance to see our actual wedding photos, you'll see.
I'll have it on the YouTube link.
Perfect. Good.
So I'll have images.
Yeah, because we definitely were going for not a bright, airy type wedding, but also not like dark or gothic either. No. My friends were making jokes when we were setting it up that it was a vampire funeral wedding. When we were setting up with all the black candles and everything.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But in pictures and when everyone's in there and you get that feeling, it's like, it wasn't nearly as dark and gothic as it may have appeared from the outside.
Which was part of the fun, too. I think watching people's faces like, how many black candles are you having?
Yeah, we were going for something a bit different.
We were, yeah.
Which I thought was cool, too.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why I want to do this podcast is with Mike, because I think it's really interesting how much, Mike, I haven't even told you this, but I was very thrilled with how much you wanted to participate in the wedding planning process. Yeah. I loved that you were basically with me every step of the way, but not only in planning, but also like deciding I want to say vibe, the feel of the day was really important. Like, we talked about lighting so much.
Yeah, and I never thought for me that'd be that big of a deal, but as we're going through it, and I don't know, especially with Jill being a wedding photographer, I've seen my fair share of weddings.
Yes.
And I kind of even subliminally end up figuring out what I want in my own wedding.
Right.
I was definitely never that kid growing up like, oh, this is what my dream wedding will be. Honestly, I could really not. It did not do much for me until you propose, and then it's time to figure out these things.
I proposed?
Until I proposed.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, lighting and things, and just the actual overall look of it.
Feel and look.
Yeah. It was really ended up being really important, because especially with the pictures and everything, that was, because those are the things you actually look back. Like, we look back at our parents' photos and things now, and we love seeing that. Imagine, 20 years down the road, show it to our kid or kids, and same kind of story.
No, so true though. And I think we really didn't want it to be a vampire funeral wedding.
I did, personally. But yeah, that's just you.
As cool as that would have been, we thought, we still wanted it to have a wedding feel along with our personalities.
Yes, big time.
Yeah.
We wanted us to show.
Yeah.
Like our personalities is showing it.
Yeah. And Mike and I do tend to wear darker. We wear a lot of black.
Yeah.
In our day-to-day lives. So I think that kind of came through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, why do you think we chose the vendors that we did on the wedding day? Think about all our vendors.
Yeah. I think, so many of our vendors were close friends of ours.
Exactly.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
Like having, friends of ours do the flowers, do your dress, do makeup and hair and everything.
Literally, I think every part.
Our day of coordinator was a girl who lived downstairs at our old apartment.
Yeah.
Like we had all these things of this community of friends.
Yeah.
Around us.
Yeah.
Which was just it was amazing, because there's no strangers. It didn't feel like anything was, thrown on you.
Right.
You knew exactly what we're getting right away.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because I wondered, I know that we've, of course, talked about the vendors that we had. We love all of the vendors that we had.
Yeah.
But we were very happy to have friends, but also made sure they had fun and were a part of our day, but also, got to experience it.
Yeah, I would have picked every single one of those people even without
them being our friends.
Without them being our friends.
Yeah.
Them being friends on top of it was just amazing. Just made it that much more special.
Agreed. Very special. And I've been lucky enough to meet and see these vendors at work every time I go to work. So it's nice to, I don't know, we would talk about the wedding, and it was just kind of like, oh yeah, Jill, oh yeah, Mike, I know what you're going for. They knew us.
They already knew it. Yeah.
They knew, it's not going to be I'm just going to keep bringing it up because I love it. It's not going to be a vampire funeral wedding. It's going to be a Jill and Mike
vampire funeral wedding.
Yeah. So I think we were really lucky to have all of those vendors be a part of our day.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to look out and have them all there.
Yeah, exactly.
Celebrating and drinking with
at
us.
the actual reception, seeing every single one of those people there.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And I think when it came down to finding those vendors, we just kind of knew who we
knew
wanted.
right away. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
For invitations and stuff, having Chelsea.
Yeah.
That was amazing having her.
Huge.
And then she did a big chalk drawing in our reception hall as well. Everybody.
It was just we felt like those vendors really became part of the day, and it was really nice to see them everywhere.
Yes, and then have a good time after doing all that work they had just finished doing.
Right. Yeah. It was really special. So thanks everyone. We love you, literally all of you. We couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Really
seriously.
and truly.
I could have probably figured it out myself.
No.
But, whatever. Yeah.
He's joking, guys. But it's true, we were very lucky we had just some of the best vendors.
Yep.
Amazing. So yeah, that is why we chose them. Now, I'm going to edit that part out too.
Yep, probably.
Now, what was the best part of planning our wedding, Mike?
Oh, the best part.
And I'm going to cue you up to thinking about the worst part also. So
planning.
Of planning. I want to specifically talk about planning. So as Mike thinks of this, even though I sent you these a while ago.
Yeah, but I'm reading them first time
Fantastic.
today. Yeah.
Fantastic. See, this is the thing with the podcast. You get your husband to do it, and it's like, okay, he's doing it, and I love you for doing this. But he's like, I sent this 5 days ago.
Yeah, you did. I'm not denying that.
Anyway, personally, while you think about your best and worst, my favorite part of planning.
Oh, you can't think of one either, huh? Yeah.
My favorite part of planning would be, you know what? My favorite part was?
What? Are you stalling?
No. We were in Iceland and we were driving around, and this was, again, like very soon after we got engaged, and I had a notebook that I had went, of course, bought. Yeah. And we wrote every single person we wanted to come to our wedding down in this notebook.
Yeah, first week like that.
Yeah, that first week we were in Iceland because we drove everywhere, so we just wrote all of our ideas down, any visuals, anything that, like, I would ask Mike, what's a song that you really wanted to play? Or he would say, what's color like? Like, what do you see? Yeah. That was so cool to actually put pen to paper, and not as like, one day. It was literally this, we're planning.
It's real now.
Yeah. We're actually, ideas are flowing, and we're writing all of our favorite people literally in our lives. Yeah. We just wrote them all down in this notebook, and now we're going to write what we think our day will look like. That felt so surreal to me.
Yeah. Well, actually, the big thing, I guess it could be for me, was the best part, or one of my favorite parts of the planning. Yeah. And when it became super real was when we decided to start looking into the music, like you're saying, more and more. Right. When we sent off our list of songs to our DJ about, our list of songs to the DJ about, we want you to play this song for 30 seconds when we're walking down the aisle, to this song playing while the people are being seated, and this is what we want to walk into the reception hall with, and all of that, and starting to play those songs in the order that we wanted, and realizing, I'm going to be doing this at this point in this song. Right. That was when it was, probably one of my favorite parts, because it started feeling really real, like really.
I remember you actually saying that, like, this feels so real.
Like, it got really real all of a sudden.
Really real quick. Yeah.
Well, because we were engaged for, a year and a half almost. So
we were.
It took a long time to go through everything, and it only started feeling like, this is like a thing we're really doing, just a month or two out from it. Yep.
Yeah, so, that's a really good point. So maybe that was one of your favorite part, was that the planning of the music. No, one of. It just felt
I think
real.
it's almost more of planning out the actual feel of it. Oh. Like beyond, like the music, the lighting, the look of it. I think was really cool going through that stuff, because I never thought I would actually be interested in that subject.
Yeah. And it wasn't like don't get me wrong, I wasn't bringing Mike to like table linen meetings. We decided those pretty quickly, just because we wanted it to be pretty simple.
We're on the same page about a lot of that stuff too.
We were, yes, we're lucky in that case. But in terms of like the look and feel, we really did have good conversation back and forth about it.
Yeah. 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 And then when it came to time to actually set up the venue and things like that, we were just there together. Yeah. The whole time doing it. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Now, what about worst?
Worst part.
So what would you then say would be the worst part about planning our wedding?
I don't know. I found, for me, one of the hardest parts was sitting there trying to figure out the actual timing of everything of the actual day. Right. Having to figure out, how long the girls are going to need to get their hair done and their makeup ready. How long is it going to take for the guys to do their hair and makeup too? How long our picture's going to take, and and how long the ceremony is going to be, and trying to provide a buffer in there without trying to time things down to 5-minute increments. Right. Which is one of the things I was already panicking about. Right. So I think we did it pretty intelligently. We left it pretty open. We did. Like you said, we did our photos in the beginning of the day, so that got rid of a lot of the timing issues for after your ceremony, trying to get that all done quick so that people aren't bored at waiting for your reception to start. Right. And then we gave ourselves, I think there's probably almost a half hour kind of buffer on either end of things that needed to be done, 15
Right.
minutes, to kind of allow you to be a little bit late. I think the only thing that happened that you're a little bit late, took a little bit longer to get your hair done.
Yes.
To get to the photos.
Actually, well said. I did forget about that. I did take a little longer just to get my hair just right and makeup just right. But
Yeah.
damn, did it look good?
Yeah, it left me plenty of time to sit there at Dundurn Castle
Sweat a
panicking and
little
sweating.
bit.
Like, what's going on? It's all gone wrong.
That's so funny. That is really the only thing. But you know what? It didn't, like, I know it sucked to have you guys waiting, and I hated that. But it really didn't stress me out. I was like, yeah, we've added time for this.
Yeah, we were well within any sort of time limits we had, so it worked
Yeah.
out fine.
That's a really good point, though. The timeline was a stressor for you. I know, just because we wanted to make sure we got enough time spending with our friends, our family, the rest of the guests. Like, it was, we did our ceremony at about 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
6:30?
6:30.
And then we went right into the reception. So Mike and I did take about half an hour to ourselves upstairs just to take a minute.
Sew your dress back together.
Yeah, also sew my dress back together. That's true. But it also felt like we were ready to go and mingle with our guests, and
Yeah.
we didn't have to leave for an hour to do photos, or they didn't have to leave. You know, we really liked that. It helped that the Spice Factory allowed us to do everything at once.
Yep. Yeah, it was
We got
nice
it.
being able to just step right from the ceremony and essentially just go like, okay, the hard part's over.
Yep.
Like, let's go have fun with everybody.
Right.
And
I think like just as assistance to anyone that's thinking, oh yeah, the timeline would be really stressful, I think talk to other people who have gotten married. This is where a wedding coordinator would come in handy. I will say.
I agree. Yeah.
There are amazing wedding coordinators out there, day of, month of, year of, that really do help with a lot of that.
Yes.
So if you are really struggling, I say by all means go for it. I think we were just up for the challenge, and we really
Yeah.
wanted to kind of take it on ourselves. So we did it, and
Yeah.
we did have a friend that was our day of coordinator, and hallelujah to Hillary, because
Yeah.
she really helped with
It-
a lot.
Yeah, it helps a lot with passing off certain responsibilities
Right.
too. Things like you don't need to be holding on to all the cash for your vendors to pay them off throughout the day, like, or whenever they happen to see them.
Right.
You have your coordinator or even someone you just trust to be able to pass off that responsibility. One less thing for you have to worry about.
Yeah. And that's one thing as a photographer I do a lot with my couples is I try to get a lot of the work that they need to do with me off the table. So
So it's not work anymore.
exactly. So every time they see me, they're not like, oh, I have to give Jill this envelope or whatever. It's just pass it off to someone else. There's so many people who want to help you when you're planning and when you're getting married that it's such a great thing to do. Like, I know we sat down and wrote all of our thank you notes for our vendors and basically put money in them to pay them, and I gave that to Hillary to take care of.
Yep. Have fun.
So that really helped. It didn't take our mind off of the evening, or it didn't take our 15 minutes to go find that one vendor.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was really helpful, and I think in terms of timeline planning, that was really great to have her there.
That helped a lot.
Yep. I don't know if I have a worst part. It's so funny. We're sitting here, and we're almost having a hard time finding a worst part of planning. It definitely got stressful, I will say. Like, I think there were times that Mike and I don't really argue too much, but you get stressed, you get tense just because a lot of feelings are in the air.
Yes.
From everyone, and a lot of
everyone's looking to you for answers about everything.
That's a big one, actually.
That could be the worst part.
Yeah. And you want to help. You're so excited, but then you're like, oh, I don't know what to answer with you, or whatever it may be. So it definitely gets stressful, but we try to enjoy it as much as we could.
Yeah, I would say too, like I said, we had from engagement to actually getting married was a year and a half worth of time. I think trying to, get engaged in New Year's and get married 6 months later is a tough call for a lot of people.
It's very tough.
Having that a year and a half to book everything out and have it all sorted out. Like, we had all of our vendors booked, our venue, everything all ready to go long before the actual day came, like months and months and months and months before.
Yeah, major. I think that helped. We knew right away who we wanted.
Yes.
But I think it gave us a lot of time, and that's personal preference. Like we like to take our time. We did things when we felt like we needed to.
Yeah, we put a couple days aside once a month, basically.
Yeah.
Once or twice a month to say, okay, we're going to spend an evening just making sure everything's sorted.
Yep. And it didn't feel like a job.
No, it never got heated or anything. We kind of knew what our responsibilities were for the whole thing.
Yep.
And just kind of let it happen naturally, too.
That's, oh my gosh, she took the words out of my mouth. It's like we're a married couple.
Maybe there's a reason we got married.
But I really felt as though it really naturally fell into place, which is really nice, and we're really lucky, again, to have that happen. This is all to say, this date could not have really gone on without the help of our vendors, again, like first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
Our friends and our family did so much. Like, yes, I would love to have our friends and family and vendors in this room doing this podcast, but I thought, why not Mike and I just do this? But really and truly, you can take on so much as a couple, but there's a reason why you hire vendors. There's a reason why your friends want to help.
Yeah.
Like, your best man was running around basically the day before, just like, what else do you need, Jill? What else do you need? We're so kind. Like,
we found out the day after a wedding that apparently there was homeless people trying to break into our venue, and he managed to chase them away. Like, I had no idea, and I was inside just having the best night of my life.
Yep.
Meanwhile, my groomsmen, my best man, are chasing around homeless people outside. Like, this is like having a support structure around you, like your friends and family and your vendors, who are also all looking out for you at the same time. It was just. Yeah, it takes the responsibility off your lap. So if you take the time to actually pick the right vendors based off of not just their work, but the personality too.
Very important.
It helps so much with the just feeling like you can, you're just having a good time rather than it's not a job.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's huge. We definitely didn't want it to be a job.
No. Yeah. No. I wanted to have fun.
Yeah. And we did.
Oh, we had a great time.
We did. It was great.
Yeah.
So, my last question is, would you change anything?
Would I change anything? Honestly, it has nothing even to do with really the wedding. Like, the ceremony was amazing. The reception was even better. Like, everything was great. The only thing was, in the morning, us guys hung around for a long time, and I didn't think of anything for us to do. I think we watched The Office for...
Nice.
For what, 3 or 4 hours?
Nice.
It would have been really nice to maybe pick out something to do like there.
It's funny because we go back to timeline and we thought we had everything covered, but I think that was one thing we kind of skipped over. Like, oh, you guys will just hang out in the morning.
Yeah.
Because you know why I think also. So my girls and I did yoga early in the morning, which I also recommend to a lot of people. We had a fantastic yoga instructor. I can give out her name to anybody who's looking, who came to our house and did yoga with us quite early in the morning.
Like 7 o'clock?
Yep. And that really started our day off with a beautiful stretch and really gave us like a really gorgeous purpose. So we then had breakfast with you guys, which was super early.
Yeah, Zach made breakfast.
Zach made breakfast, Mike's best man. So that was so kind. But then you guys kind of just had to hang out while we went and got our hair and makeup done.
Yeah, we got all done up in our suits because the photographer was there to take pictures and the videographer. And then we had essentially 4 hours to kill. So we took all of our suits all the way back off again.
Might as well.
Everyone napped. Hung out.
That's kind of nice. I mean, it's nice that you had that little break in the day, but
it was super chill going
it's
into
cool
it.
That one thing is just like you could have just done more in this time.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I don't think too many people get the chance of saying on their wedding day that they wanted to do more that day.
Right.
So I'm not complaining.
True. That's good to hear. I like that. Yeah, I like your worst part. My worst not worst part. Would I change anything? That's what it was.
Worst part of your wedding.
I know. No, because we said worst part earlier. Honestly, I've thought about this a lot. I'm like, man, would I have changed anything? Honestly, no.
Oh, that's a cop-out.
No, I know it totally is, but like, okay, this is what I would have changed, which is not at all possible, but I would have loved to have seen the moon at night. Like we even had a telescope there to try and see it. We're in the middle of Hamilton, so right? That was the other part of
it.
I know, but yeah, I really wanted to see the stars and moon that night. But I'm pretty sure the next day rained, so it was pretty cloudy.
Yeah.
So not only was there light pollution. Thank you. Light pollution. There was probably a blanket of clouds. So that would have been so cool, but I mean, again,
you're not going to be able to
totally.
And that's the other thing you could say too, is not worry about the things that are in your control
that are
or not.
Exactly. And oh my gosh, I was dancing way too hard to go outside to check out that moon. But I don't know. I think in my head I was like, oh, I'm gonna be up all night. I'm gonna be up till the sunrise, and I'll see this. And I was like, no. We danced so hard, then we went home and passed out.
Yeah, we took an Uber home.
Yep.
Scared the Uber driver.
Yeah, scariest Uber driver ride.
Yeah.
But in the end, it really was like perfect, and honestly, I really wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. And it's, I think a lot of people say that their day was perfect, or
as you should.
As you should too, but I don't think we're exaggerating on anything.
No.
Like, it was I've told lots of people, like, and especially in the crowds the people I work with and things, it's not generally a thing you brag about how beautiful your wedding was, but I've had told a fair share of stories about how amazing that day was.
Yeah.
And I mean it.
That's nice.
Yep.
I love you, Mike.
I love you too.
No! I went to give him a kiss and he gave a fake sounding one.
For the podcast.
Yeah, but you could have just gone. Okay. Spike. Thank you so much for listening, guys. So if you are checking out the podcast on YouTube, all of the images will be from our amazing photographer, Megan Steen Photography.
Yeah.
And we will one of the best. And we will also be tagging all of our amazing vendors who, like we said, did incredible job with our wedding. And so you can check them all out there. Anything else to add there, Michael?
Nothing I can think of.
Fantastic. Yes, anybody who is planning and has questions, by all means, send them to me so I can direct them to Mike, and he will get back to you personally.
Yeah, I'll get back to you sometime.
No, but truly, if anybody does have any questions, by all means, reach out to us. I mean, we're just another voice that could give you some ideas, but at the same time, do you, boo.
No, don't say that again.
But also just be you. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's good.
Yeah, just be you.
Yep.
Enjoy the planning process. Do it over wine. Do it over coffee. Talk about it at a ice cream shop if you need to.
Casually. Don't make it so formal.
Agreed.
Take some of the pressure off.
Yep. Well, thanks, Mike, for going over everything.
It was pretty tough.
It was. Thank you again so much, Mike, for coming on and chatting.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great. I can't.